Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Japanese Tier 3 light tank, the Type 98 Kei. So is it any good? It's a pretty good tank. It rocks at Tier 3, is kinda okay at Tier 4, and is utterly useless at Tier 5. So that gives you a bit of an indication. Let's get into the review. It has 240 hit points, which is about average for this Tier 3 light tank. It weighs around from 7 to 9 tons, which is very, very light. To give you an idea, some of the other Tier 3 light tanks weigh more than double the weight of this tank. So do not, I repeat, do not ram anybody because you will instantly commit suicide. The speed of this tank is 50 kilometers an hour, which is actually pretty darn good. It's average for a light tank, but it does it quite well. It's quite powerful, so it accelerates well, it goes well up hills. I'm quite happy with the power to weight ratio of this tank. Combine that with a track traverse speed of 48, which is very good. The tank gets around and maneuvers very, very well. The only tank with a better traverse speed than that is the BT7 with 54 traverse, and that's a very fast tank. And also the Panzer C has the same track traverse of 48. Other than that, it's equal second best. That's very, very good. Combined with the turret traverse of 36, which is probably a little above average, it's a very maneuverable and good sort of turning fighter. It's quite good. Of course, the trouble is, as all Japanese tanks, it has basically no armor. Now, the view range on this tank is only 310 meters, which is on the low side. The lowest is the BT7 with 300. So it's not terrible, but it's not very good. The signal range, however, of 550 is about average, not bad at all. Now, for being small and light, you do get some bonuses. Now, to give you an idea of the size of this tank, I'll show you the tank I have just reviewed, which is the Type 95 Hago. That was the Tier 2 light tank. So let's have a look at the Tier 2 light tank. There it is. So that's the Hago, Tier 2. So we go back to the Kei, and you can see it's actually much lower and it's a little bit shorter as well. So it's a smaller tank. All this means that it has excellent camouflage. Now, it has the best camouflage of all Tier 3 light tanks. Now, that said, there are a couple of premium tanks, and I don't usually include premium tanks when I'm comparing, but there is a couple of premium tanks that have slightly better camouflage, but it really is only slightly better. And the good thing about this camouflage on this tank is too, it works in the real world. You know, I've been behind bushes shooting, where really another tank I definitely would have been spotted, and this tank I wasn't. So the camouflage is very good and works. And at Tier 3, a lot of the tanks maintain their camouflage while moving. This one does. One or two of those premium tanks that have slightly better camouflage at stationary actually lose their camouflage while moving. So this one, it's really good in that respect. Now, the gun depression on this tank is also excellent. It has 14 degrees of gun depression, which is very, very good. So it does work well as a hill fighter in that respect, and has 20 degrees of elevation too, which is quite good. There are a lot of tanks at Tier 3 light tanks that do have good gun depression, but there's some that don't. So there are some with better gun depression than this, but 14 degrees is excellent and you won't have any trouble with it. That said, let's probably have a look at the gun selection and all that jazz. Now, because I've got so many Japanese tanks now, I actually was able to go straight to the top engine, straight to the top radio. I even had the gun, I think, unlocked, but I didn't have the turret unlocked. But as it turned out, I couldn't upgrade anything because the tank was maxed out, and I had to get the tracks first before being able to get anything. So I had to play a game with the stock gun. I actually did okay with the stock gun because it was a Tier 3 game, but I'm not going to show you that because you've seen that with the Hago anyway, that gun. So yeah, the tracks, you have to get the tracks first. Once you've got that, you can get everything. Radio, the top radio is an improvement, but it's a lot heavier. It's a very good radio, but it does add a lot of weight. And it's definitely worth getting a top engine in this tank because it is pretty quick and maneuverable. You really want to make the most of it. And the top gun is definitely a good gun. So The weird thing about the turret is, though, the turret doesn't actually do anything. It's actually a slightly smaller turret, but it's a little bit taller, and that allows you to fit this gun. So you just need that turret to fit the gun. Other than that, it doesn't give you any advantage that I can see, other than it probably has a harder chance to be damaged as far as your turret getting locked. But other than that, it's exactly the same armor, same view range, same traverse speed, but it's a little bit lighter, which is great news. So it helps you go a little bit quicker, but you just needed to get this gun. Now this gun is very, very good. However, it doesn't have great penetration. So it has a 26.09 rate of fire, which is fantastic. Has a penetration of 58, which is very good at tier 3. Not so good at tier 4. There's quite a few tier 4 tanks you cannot penetrate anywhere. And when it gets to tier 5, it just bounces off pretty much everything. It does 50 damage, which isn't a lot, but with this rate of fire, it seems to work. Well, it works at tier 3. At tier 4, not so much. And tier 5, of course, you can't penetrate them, so you don't really get a chance to see. 0.37 accuracy isn't great, but at tier 3, not many tanks have good accuracy. So it's actually pretty good. And the 1.5 second aiming time is fantastic. So a 1.5 second aiming time combined with that rate of fire means that you pretty much hit everything that you aim at, especially with that kind of accuracy. Now, it's a very, very good gun, and that's why this tank, it kicks butt at tier 3. Tier 4, not so much, as I said. In tier 5, it just can't penetrate, which is the problem. And of course, at tier 5, you get one-shot killed a lot because you've got no armor to speak of, and I will show you that shortly in Tank Inspector. What else can I tell you about the tank? We've spoken about gun depression timer. Probably not much. This tank, I would suggest you try and do a little bit of sort of sniping, but maneuvering, popping up over hills as well, that sort of thing. It's kind of good. Now, in these games, my crew will be anywhere from 75 to 78%. And so they're not fully trained. So just remember, accuracy, reload times, all that will be better when you have a fully trained crew. I will have in this game a toolkit, camouflage net, and binoculars fitted. And we have the small repair kit, large repair kit, and large first aid kit. If you don't know, the large first aid kit gives your crew, or gives your modules 10% less chance to be damaged, and the large first aid kit gives your crew 15% protection from injuries. That's why I carry them. I don't use them on light tanks; it's a waste of money, but I carry them just to offer that protection, and I carry the light repair kit just to repair something if I really think I need to. Alright, let's get into Tank Inspector, and then I've got a couple of I've got one game showing you tier 5 tank, how it goes against tier 5, that it's pretty much useless. Then I've got another game, a tier 3 game, which is a fantastic game. I had a ripper game, a couple of ripper games in this tank. So stick around for those, they're really, really good. Okay, so checking out the armor of the Type 98 KNI in Tank Inspector. Let's go straight to the colorized view. So we can see here this lower glacis here is 16mm of armor, and you can see there that the front driver's compartment there and the top of the turret, front of the turret, is also 16mm thick. So obviously even tier 1s can penetrate that. The upper deck, or frontal upper plate, is only 6mm thick, and the side front plates here, the angled plates, are 12mm thick. I'll stay on the front of the turret here. We do have a section here of 30mm around the mantlet, and the pink section here is also 30mm. So we may bounce some tier 3 auto loaders off there if we're lucky. Then the side is 12mm, side of the turret 16mm, rear of the tank is 10mm. And the top of the tank we have 6mm all around. So if a HE shell hits you, you pretty much get obliterated. You have no protection whatsoever. And it's fair to say that the tank really has no armor. Now, I did like to compare. We were trying to decide, is it better to go the light tank line or the medium tank line if you're grinding these tanks? Well, tier 2 and tier 3 don't take much grinding anyway. It only took a few games. But I would say the last one we looked at, probably the light tank was better than medium. In this case, it's up to you. The Chiha is the tier 3 medium Japanese tank. Now that has well, one advantage. It has a gun that has better penetration. It has a gun that has 81 penetration with 70 damage. So that gun still works at tier 4 very well and works okay at tier 5. Whereas this tank, the gun really only works well at tier 3. So if you're really worried about that, then you probably would go the medium line. However, this tank is a better tank in every other department. It's faster, has better track traverse, has better turret traverse, has better signal strength. The signal strength in the Chiha is rubbish. And it still has crap armor. So really, even the medium has terrible armor, it's useless as well. So it's just a matter of whether you want the gun or whether you want the better tank. This is the better tank, but it doesn't have the better gun. Okay, let's get into some gameplay. I've got a game with a tier 5 game, showing you that the gun doesn't penetrate too fantastically. And then I've got a really good tier 3 game for you to watch.
Let's go.
Okay, so here we are in our K-ni. Tier 3 Japanese light tank. Now it's a tier 5 match. Not a good lineup for this tank. There's about what, 1, 2, 3, 4, enemy has 5 tier 5 tanks. Only a couple of tier 4s and the rest are pretty much tier 3. So a Panzer C has been spotted on the way across by Stuart. I'm trying to see if I can get a shot on it. He's a bit too clever for me at the moment. And I see our T-46 just disintegrates. So that's probably enemy artillery, which means he was spotted, so I decided to go behind these rocks for a bit. Don't particularly want to get spotted and obliterated by artillery at this stage. So now I'm using these bushes to try and conceal my tank a little bit from the guy across the other side of the river and see if I can shoot at people in the town. And I kind of missed my chance there. I'm going to speed this up a little bit now because I do have a bit of a boring section while I'm really kind of waiting here for something to happen. This isn't a frontline tank where you want, especially a tier 5 game, where you want to be bursting and charging at everyone, so I'm being fairly cautious. Okay, so I sped it up to 4 times now. Okay, so it was a T-82 there as well, which somebody got. I'm slowing it back down a little bit now. I'll speed it up again. So it's just 2 times. Okay, I'm slowing down to normal speed now, so it's normal speed. You can see here the reload time is sensational, 2.55 seconds, and that's with a crew at about, in this game, about 75-76%. So you can expect an even quicker reload and a more accurate gun. The accuracy is quite good on this gun. Yay, we hit.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Yeah, he's a bit silly just staying there like that. That's a bit better. You want to get out of there, buddy. You want to get behind the rock. Not that I really want him to move, but in the replay, you know. That looks like a hit. So by covering this section, if he tries to get back behind that rock, I should hit him. He appears to be somewhere else though.
They're knocked out.
And we got him. Finally we get him. Okay, great. Good result. Uh-oh, but looks like the enemy is now capping. I moved back a bit further behind the bush to try and cover myself. KV-1.
That one didn't go through.
Wow, to be honest, a lot of tier 5 tanks can't penetrate KV-1.
Penetration.
Alright, we get to the side of the turret of the Wolverine.
Critical hit.
But now he turns to face us, and even though he's...
We didn't even scratch them.
The armor of Wolverine is pretty trash. It's pretty poor armor. But we can't pen it. SU-85.
Critical hit. We didn't even scratch them. We didn't even scratch them. We didn't penetrate their armor.
So as you can see,
Ricochet.
Once we get tanks up around tier 5 level, very difficult to penetrate.
We didn't even scratch
Now we're only at 242 meters, so it's not exactly long range. Just trying to help my buddy out there by destroying some of the cover the other tank had, but my shots don't have enough power to do much.
We didn't penetrate their
So we're
armor.
getting a green indicator there, indicating that, you know, in theory we should be able to pen that armor,
We're covering his position,
but
not
no,
very
there's no
well.
chance, especially at this range.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Oh well, we did our best to reset the cap. Okay, so we lost that game unfortunately. Our team also started capping, and I was just hoping that I could at least track one of those tanks to do something to stop them capping and reset the cap, but I wasn't able to do it. So you saw there the tank does struggle against the tier 5 armor. Now we finished about, you know, middle of the field or upper middle of the field. Not too bad really, considering we're a tier 3 light tank. And we fired 47 shots, so it's a great rate of fire, really puts the shots out there. We actually hit with 25 of those shots, and penetrations 9, and we did damage of 209. Now, 209, it does 50 per shot, so in reality 4, possibly 5 of our shots actually did damage. So when it says 9 penetrations, a lot of those would have been just track damage or critical hits. But to penetrate, yeah, at this tier, very difficult. We received 3 hits, all 3 penetrated, of course, and we damaged 4, and we destroyed 1. Actually, that's a pretty good effort. I'm pretty happy with that. Base defense points 11, so I think that first hit on the Wolverine, we did actually get some base defense points, but wasn't enough to help the team. Received 6,200, of which 4,000, so it's a profitable tank, but we didn't make much money. Okay, next game is a ripper.
Let's go.
Okay, so this time a good matchup for this tank. It's a tier 3 game. About just over half the tanks are tier 3, and there's some tier 2 tanks as well. So good matchup for this tank. As you can see, speed is very good. We're already doing 50 kilometers an hour. Now we're starting to go up the hill. And we're not losing speed that rapidly. It's not bad. It's a pretty tough hill. Now, I did mention earlier that the turret, all it did was give you, it was a bit lighter, but it allowed you to get the gun. I forgot to mention, it also gives you an extra 20 hit points. So it takes from 220 to 240. So going up the hill here, you see we're keeping up with this Cruiser 4. And that is a fast tank as well, another good power to weight ratio tank. Still doing 20, 21, 20, we're slowing down a bit now, this tough part of the hill, but not bad. Cruiser 4 is not a particularly well armoured tank either, so, and I haven't got very good armour, so I'm being a little bit cautious here. But then I see we've got a T-18 who's surging ahead. Now he's got pretty good armour, he's only tier 2, but I figure if he's going, I can use him to soak up all the hits from everyone while I try and snipe them. We've got a Panzer 1C, I definitely don't want to get hit by this tank,
Enemy is hit.
because his auto-loader gun will
Enemy armor
devastate
is
me.
damaged.
But he's focusing on the T-18, which he would see as the bigger threat,
Enemy vehicle
and we managed to
destroyed.
take him out. So without the T-18 there, that Panzer 1C would have torn us to pieces.
Enemy armor is
Because
damaged.
it's about as manoeuvrable as us, and has a much better gun as far as...
Critical hit.
It could kill us with one burst, whereas we
Enemy
have to fire
armor
those
is
shots.
destroyed.
So with the help of the T-18 there again, we managed to get that. Now he's going down the hill, they're going down the hill. I see there's quite a few tanks here, so knowing that I've got 14 degrees of gun depression, that's very good gun depression, I decided to put it to use. Now you can see here there's an idiot behind me trying to push me out of the way.
Penetration.
Dude, I'm in the spot, that's it. If you want to find a way in, find a way in, but don't push me.
Enemy armor is hit. Penetration.
No, it looks like we're missing that guy. How unfortunate. That was almost a kill. The T-18 down there is pretty sick, but I see he's just killed one of our tanks, so I can't get in from here. You've got to be careful on that ledge. I can't tell you the number of times I've fallen off that ledge. M2 medium.
Enemy is hit. Enemy armor is damaged.
See the accuracy of this gun for a tier 3 gun with a not fully trained crew is very, very good. Just taking a shot there, hoping I can hit something. Things aren't going our way though. It's 9-10. We're behind in this game. I decided not to go downhill because the enemy is capping. As you can see, they're 26% capped. So this is a tank where you're getting capped. You can actually turn around, go back and get back there in time, so long as there's not too many tanks capping. Now let's see how fast this goes downhill. 61. Got up to 61. That's pretty good. So I see there's a tank down there fighting with one of our tanks, so I decided to go the other way, so to get it from behind. Now it's actually unfortunately killed that TD, and it's now coming up this way. We've got a Marder too. He has a very good gun, but he's too scared to go in, so I'm just going to fly in there using my speed and maneuverability to hopefully to outflank him. He misses me, I miss him. He misses me again. I make sure of that shot, and haha, I was very lucky that the Marder hit him just before me, so I got the kill. Sorry, Marder. Now I noticed this guy. I think I'm just going to keep going here. We've got to. This guy doesn't know we're here.
They're knocked out.
Oh, and we notice we're lucky there. We didn't get hit. I'm not going to worry about him though, because I can see this VE Type B is in a pretty good position. I can use this dead tank here as cover while I approach, and hopefully he'll miss a couple of shots trying to get me or something. I'm going to try and get between these two spots. Unfortunately, I wrecked my shot. No, not a good shot. Oh, I only critted him.
Penetration. Got him.
Beautiful. Now we are on 5 kills. I am the only tank left on our team, and the enemy team has 3 tanks. One of those tanks has 5 kills, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that... oh no, here we are, we're in trouble now. We've been hit. I move a little bit. He got me again, actually. He got me twice, but he's dead. So now I've got 6 kills. I've got Top Gun, so long as that M2 medium doesn't kill me. If the M2 medium kills me, and he has a higher score than me, he will actually get Top Gun. Now I'm pretty sure that M2 medium, I put quite a few shots into him earlier on from the hill, so he's got to be a bit sick. But if he kills me, he might get Top Gun and I might not get it. Anyway, I'm looking around here just to see if that was an organised assault. Not usually get organised assault to tier 3. Doesn't look like it was, because the other tanks don't appear to be approaching the cap. So I decide there's plenty of time left, 9 minutes. I'm going to go up the top of the hill and see if I can spot anyone from up there and get shots down on them if they're not suspecting me of being up there. The other thing is I want to see if anyone else is up there, because I don't want to get shot by someone on the hill. So once again, you can see the tank does go pretty well up the hill. I'm going to speed this up, going up the hill. Do it 4 times. Turbo boost. Nitrous oxide. Vroom, here we go. Alright, so now I'm just skimming the edge here to see if I can spot anybody. I'll slow it back down to normal speed. So I'm just approaching this broken wall spot just to see if there's anybody still trying to maybe snipe from here, not realising the game's nearly over. And doesn't appear to be. So I'm thinking now whether to go down towards their cap or back to base. I decided I'm just going to peer down here and have a look and see if there's any coming, but all of a sudden we notice they're capping, or one of the tanks is capping. That's great news, because it means now I know where they are. I can approach them knowing that they're there and hopefully catch them by surprise. Only one of them's there, which is ideal. That's exactly what I want. Just one tank in the cap on its own. I can sneak up on it, shoot it. So it's looking good. Down here we go again. I've turned my gun to the left just to see, in case I see it, either one of them coming up the hill, or in case I see one of them in the cap from here, which I don't. I was thought about pausing here and just peeking around the corner. I thought, nah, bugger it. I'm just going to go for it. The tank is pretty manoeuvrable, so in most circumstances I reckon I can weave and avoid a few shots. I just checked that alleyway on the way through. 52% capped. Here we go. And it's the M2. Our Top Gun is secure. And T18 oblivious to my presence, so he must have just pulled into the cap. And that's it. End of the game. So I told you it was a good game. How's that for a nice looking screen? Now, admittedly, a lot of those players didn't really know what they were doing, because they're probably beginners. But hey, I've got to grind the tank, and if I happen to have a game like that, it was fun, I tell you. Now, advice for if you are a new player, a bit of advice, when you're outnumbering the enemy, like they outnumber me 2-1 at the end there, capping is not a bad idea, but remember, as soon as you start capping, you're telling them where you are. So what you do is one of you caps, and the other one hides in a position where they can snipe into the cap. So when the enemy comes to get the guy in the cap, and he probably will get him, the other person is in a safer position and behind rocks or something and just nails them as they come into the cap. That's the way you do it if you basically set a trap. But to actually just both sit in the cap like that, not a good idea, especially when you can see the other person's got 6 kills because they know what they're doing. Yeah, other than that, if you've got like 4 tanks and you've only got 1, you probably wouldn't cap until you were almost out of time. You would actually just go and hunt them down. Because just capping tells them where you are. Alright, so yeah, as you can see, we got Top Gun, and we also got the Defender Medal. I think that's when you get 80 points or more off the cap. Also, obviously, that was a mastery badge. Alright, so let's, yeah, we can see we hit a lot of tanks. Next screen, and we, surprise, surprise, finished on top for experience and for damage, although we weren't that far on top for damage. The Marder did 710. And over here on the other side, that M2 medium that had 5 kills did, what was it, 868, only just below us. So we were probably pretty lucky that we were probably shot a lot of damaged tanks, and we're finishing off quite a few. So a bit of luck on our side, but you've got to have luck sometimes. And let's have a look at the next screen. Oops, wrong button. Okay, so we fired 31 shots of 31, 22 hit, which considering we were moving and stuff like that sometimes, that's pretty good. 22 is pretty good. Now, of those 22 hits, 22 penetrated. So this gun at this tier is awesome. It's accurate, it reloads very fast, has adequate pen, does pretty good damage, has a fantastic aiming time. So this gun rocks at tier 3. Damage was 879, which is very respectable. We did receive 2 hits, which both penetrated. We damaged 9 vehicles and destroyed 8, which would normally be a Radley Walters, but I think you've got to be tier 4 or above to get a Radley Walters. All the tanks you destroy have to be anyway. Base defense points 92 as it turned out, so that was a bit of a bonus. Of 20,000 earnings, we managed to keep 19,000. And as I said, the tank is very fragile. You can see here we've got compensation damage of 99, damage caused by allies, and that was just that ally bumping into our tank when we were sniping off the hill. So the tank's very fragile. For our efforts, we received 927 raw XP, which is enough for mastery in this tank, and we had some bonuses going there as well. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching my review of the K-Ni. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. If you're driving this tank against tier 3s, you'll have fun.